In the conversation, or sit back and listen. Those of you especially that care about what happens in this city. I guess everything we've touched on to this point, as with most things, comes down to money. And the big thing that I know you're working on right now that really affects it all is the budget. And you said the mayor hopes to have something going by, was it March 31st?
Yeah. So typically by charter it's supposed to be in by the end of April. The mayor has indicated that he wants to have the budget to the council and announced to the city by the end of March. So we're talking about a month earlier. He also has asked us, they asked the council, because we have to approve the budget or do something with it, that he would like us to take our final action by May 31st. We have until June 30th to pass a budget. So he would like to get it done a month earlier because he wants to submit it to the comptroller's office, because the comptroller's office has been either invited in or sort of stepped in to make sure that we've got our finances in the right place.
Okay. So, all right, that pushes it up a bit. What, in your view, are the biggest issues with spending? We've heard the mayor talk about where he wants to send a lot of the money. Right. And so, I mean, not everyone gets what they want. In fact, no one gets probably everything they want.
Well, he just announced a capital spending plan, which was pretty tight. About half of it went to schools. Goodlettsville Elementary School, one of the schools that needs to be redone. So new school there. The other stuff, just looking at it initially, because it was just announced on Friday, is pretty basic, just high priority stuff. So I think he has done, in that first wave, it's pretty slim. I mean, it may be a lot. It's like $150-some million, I think. But for a capital spending plan, it's pretty slim. It's pretty tight. But it's based upon, my understanding, it's high priority stuff.
Which would be what? Law enforcement?
Yeah,
security,
stuff that we have to get done. Not the really nice stuff to do. These are things that we have to do. I mean, Goodlettsville Elementary School, the last time I was up there, one of the ceilings fell in. Okay, so we got to. This is stuff that we got to do to make sure that we can continue properly functioning as a city. The biggest issue that we've got, and this is what everybody's looking forward to on March the 31st, when the mayor announces what his budget looks like at his State of Metro address, is how are we financially? And has he found a way to take care of the needs of the city, making sure that we get teacher raises and police, firefighters, Metro employees, get that taken care of. I'm a big proponent of making sure that teachers do not have to pay out of pocket for school supplies. That drives me crazy.
And they all do.
And they do. And we know that, and they shouldn't have to, and we need to stop that. So the question is, with a tight budget that he walked into and that we've had for the last couple of years, how is he going to address that? As you know, the council in the last 2 years has proposed its own property tax increase. It failed 2 years ago. It failed last year. It failed last year by 1 vote. What's going to happen this year? Yeah, we don't know.
You think it'll be brought up again?
Well, it's on the table. So I will tell you that tonight is the first night that Bob Mendes, who's chairman of our Budget Finance Committee, and Quante Toombs, who's the vice chair, along with the Budget Committee, are hosting regional meetings across the city to talk about budgetary issues. Tonight's at I think the Northwest YMCA in Ashland City. So people are invited to come. You can look at the Metro Council website and see when those things are. They want people to come out and talk. Last year, there was a lot of concern that people were saying we had proposed a property tax increase and nobody knew about it. People need to understand this stuff. This is really, really important.
Well, that's the key to passing it, right? Would you still say, as someone who's been in this position voting on it, and you know for most politicians the word tax is a bad thing, because people in general are going to say, no, I'm against it. But the times when people are willing to vote on it is when they understand truly the need and where the money's going. So if you don't get that across to them, just gut level taxes, nope. It's just automatic, no. The only way you change their mind, right, is what you're saying, is having these meetings and maybe laying it out for them so they understand.
Look, last year there was several proposals on the table to increase property taxes, including one by a very more conservative member of the group. When that starts happening in an election year, that's a really clear indication that people understand, first of all, understand the responsibility of the council, which is, at some point you have to be willing to fall on your sword on something. Right. And if the city is in need of making sure that it functions correctly, and you've got teachers that need to be addressed and police that need to be addressed and these things that need to happen, then at some point you were elected to do your job. It's not to just do what politically is correct at that point, or that people feel more comfortable with. Sometimes you got to push the button that you don't necessarily want to, but you got to do what's right on behalf of the city.
Well, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because those very constituents that are going to get mad at you for voting for a property tax increase are the ones that are going to complain about the certain services that are not being paid or not rather being provided because there's nothing to pay to support it. And that's what I don't get about constituents and voters out there. They all want services. No one wants to pay for it. And then when you say, well, come on, you got to pay for it, they go, well, there's so much waste out there. Trust me, there is some. It's nowhere close to the waste there was years ago. Not even close. It is the fat is gone. So don't give me this crap about waste.
People want services. I think the point of these meetings that are starting tonight is to go talk to people. So people are still concerned and upset that with all the development we have going on and all the things going on and all the tourists coming and the stuff going on at the Music City Center, why are we in this mess?
Right, that's right, and I agree with them. I see that. Where's the money? That's adding to the tax base. Everyone's spending money, so that's going into taxes, it's going into our coffers. And it's booming, so why are we broke?
So I think what's going on is tonight the discussion with people about, okay, why are we in this situation and what are the possibilities? So you can talk about the tourist development zone and all the precautions that we're taking with the Music City Center. People get mad at that, but that's only a limited part of the whole thing. Some of the stuff that's being built right now hasn't come online yet. I mean, there's a lot of building going on, and at some point there'll be property taxes coming from it. So we'll see that then. We're getting a lot of additional revenue. All these tourists are coming into town, so we're getting more money. But we had a lot of debt, and a lot of the debt that was experienced in 2008, 2009 when we hit that big recession. That stuff is starting to come forward.
So well, and that'll eventually come off the books, right?
Eventually, yeah. So part of this is managing our way through this to make sure we've got it right.
Because of the hard time that we had.
Right, but in terms of 3 years ago we didn't increase taxes during the reassessment. Everybody knows that. I mean, it was wonderful. We were all able to walk around and go, lowest tax rate in metro history. But we're a city growing. And so when you cut down your revenue supply, I mean, at some point you needed to raise it up a little bit just to make sure you continue with your basic government functions. Nobody likes doing it. I understand
When was the last property tax increase?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I can't even remember when it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Matt. Matt, good morning. Hi, Matt.
Just a comment. Why don't we start taxing people that come from other counties to work in Nashville instead of having them suggest how we ought to spend our money and be taxed?
I got you. How would we do that, though? How would you do that?
First, start reaching in your pocket.
Yeah, I know, but how would you collect it? Meaning that you would have a toll booth, and if you're coming from out of county with a different plate, you would pay, or what do you think? I'm just wondering how that would tangibly work. I hear what he's saying. A lot of people, I live in Wilson County, and I come into town, and I use some of these services. Of course, I work here and I spend money in the city.
Right. So you spend money in the city.
Yeah, like any visitor.
We pick it up on sales tax.
Sure.
How do you do it? Do you collect a toll?
That's what I was thinking. What's that?
When you come in, and you got to pay when you come in. You pay when you leave as well.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. I mean, there's certain restrictions that the state places on us in terms of what taxes. We'd have to deal, obviously, with the state legislature if we were to do it.
Well, and that's certainly where do you set it up to do that, and that could deter visitors. I mean, I see what he's saying. He's frustrated that he lives here. A lot of other people come to enjoy this city, but it's the citizens in Metro that are paying to make the city great. I would argue that it's not just them, even though they're the core of it if you live in this town. It's everyone who visits and pours money into this through their tax dollars as well.
So, to be fair to Matt, I mean, so he's looking. What he's doing is he's trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work.
Sure.
I will tell you, Matt, that there are people who are actually trying to figure this stuff out. Sit on a Blue Ribbon committee that met yesterday. Spent a lot of time listening to folks from Gaylord Opryland talk about how they figured their growth and what they're doing as compared to the Music City Center. So there are a lot of people trying to figure out how to make this work.
What do you mean on that? That they were here, their growth as relating? What do you mean? What were they trying to discuss
it's really
there?
interesting. So they're trying to figure out, as they build on, and there's other Gaylords around the country, what is their model? What are they looking for in terms of the population that drives folks to come to Opryland?
Oh, okay. But you're talking about out there at the Opry Mills.
Right, at Opry
Holy
Mills.
cow, that place prints money. I don't care. They're doing great. But that place is packed 24/7. The line backs up onto Briley Parkway.
I understand.
They're doing great as far as from the outside looking in. And they've got, so whatever their plan is, good for them.
Right, so they're thinking through it. Part of this, Nick, is trying to figure out future. I mean, so, we're dealing with the issues today, but we have to be also looking always to the future. 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. Where are we headed? And so we were talking before about new Nashville versus old Nashville. Where are we headed? What's the right thing to do? Matt's thinking through it correctly. This may not be an option, or may be difficult to do, but that's what we're going to do with transit.
Yeah.
I mean, they kept saying that 40% or 42% of the money for the transit lines was going to come from people from outside the county.
Yeah.
Now the question is, when the other counties started working on their part of the transit lines, where was their money going to come from? Maybe the same people.
Yeah, because every county can look at that. Let's take a call from Richard real quick. Richard, good morning. Hi, Richard.
Good morning.
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 Well, I would like to talk about taxing people from adjacent counties. We don't even have the data as to how many people in the adjacent counties come in here to work. Now, when I lived in another city up north, everyone that worked in that city paid a tax. It came out of their check. But the problem you're going to have is these legislators, state legislators from little small counties, they are going to reject that idea. They will not vote for it. But, a guy comes in here and he makes $70,000 a year, and maybe he will spend on a monthly basis maybe $30, and he takes all that back to his little county. That's not fair. They tear up the roads, they take the jobs. There's a penalty to pay, and that's the tax.
Okay. Well, I don't necessarily follow that logic all the way through, but I guess I hear kind of what he's saying about, look, we just talked earlier about the cost of living here.
Yeah.
All right. A bunch of these companies here require employees, and they're disappearing fast. And the ones who are working here are having to move out of the city and commute in, probably from outside Davidson County now more and more, because it's more affordable. And if they didn't do that, a lot of these restaurants, a lot of it's service industry, they don't have anyone to hire. You can tell when you go into a restaurant one day when a few people call in sick, because you're waiting an extra 10, 15 minutes for your meal. Well, it happens a lot.
Came down West End yesterday.
1 minute, yeah.
Yeah, came down West End and burger place. Yeah. $12 an hour to start.
Yeah. Paying pretty good. My son coming out of college is finding some decent.
Not bad. I know what Richard's talking about. I mean, again, Matt, Richard, talking about trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work. It's this idea of how do we make a city that is on the boom function correctly? How do you make it all work? They're throwing out ideas. I'm not sure, we know that people are coming in from out of the county. We tax them when they pay for goods. How do we make it work? And I really would encourage people to go to these budget meetings, or at least watch them, and then pay attention. So last year, and I know we're almost out of time, but last year we had a meeting in Goodlettsville to talk to people. We had 4 people show up. Come out and tell us
if you
what
really care, because you guys are listening. So, Mayor, Vice Mayor, thank you for coming on, Jim.
Thank you.
We'll see you again sometime soon. Appreciate you coming on periodically. It's nice and great calls from our viewers this morning.
Happy to
Be
come
back with a programming note right after this. Thanks again, sir.
Sure.